It's a OnePlus, but bigger. I've been playing around with the OnePlus Pad for a little more than a week now. OnePlus sent it out my way to take on a test drive and share my thoughts. Right at the top of this, now that we know the pricing, there is not a lot of direct competition for this tablet, especially not in Android land. This right here is one of the best performance per dollar options available today, and it's clearly got Google in its sights for their upcoming Pixel tablet. This is the best competition we've seen in Android tablets, maybe ever. Now, the specs aren't any big reveal today, where OnePlus rumors and the pre-orders have largely detailed all of the technology on tap. This screen is gorgeous, a bright, pretty slab of LCD at up to 144 Hz. The speakers are solid, they're nice and rich using that quad array, which helps balance out audio in either portrait or in landscape. Face detection is the main biometric security, and it's quick, but maybe just shy of using something like Windows Hello, especially with the keyboard dock when sitting right on top of it, like if you're at a kitchen table or a cafe table. It might require you to kind of lean down into the path of the camera. And it's just a really pretty design overall. Super thin, that brushed rear plate, and with a flat edge on the top that helps guide your fingers to orientation. As you pick it up, you kind of always know which way is up. Briefly detailing the tech on tap, this has 8 GB of RAM and 128 GB of storage. The Dimensity 9000 SoC is last year's premier chip from MediaTek, but it's still a monster performer today, generally outpacing the performance per watt of the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 and landing neck and neck with the 8 Plus Gen 1. OnePlus sent this with the magnetic keyboard cover and the active pen stylus. The whole package, what you're seeing right here, full MSRP, would be roughly around $730. But if you ordered during the pre-sale, everything here would have cost closer to $580. And there were also some solid sales on OnePlus Buds. The Buds Pro have been some of my favorite Bluetooth earbuds launched this year. This tab also delivers a refreshing take on Android 13. We've seen some glimpses of the tablet-specific updates to this operating system, and we've seen other skins running on top of Android 13. Now the OnePlus flavor of this UI makes an appearance, and it's a nice balance of multitasking and simplicity. Bottom dock gives us a more computer-like interface for commonly used and recently used apps. We have a wonderful, simple split screen button when we're looking at apps in the multitasking view. This is much better conveyance than most phones have. Improvements to floating windows, where a swipe can switch an app to a floating window and you can drag it around the screen. If you drag that window to the edge, you can tuck it out of the way and then you hit this tab to bring that app back. It's really well designed. All of these interactions feel very organic. The one sticky spot I've run into for productivity, I have not found a trick to get two documents side by side, neither Word nor Google Docs. If anyone out there knows the magic hand gesture to make that happen, please drop me a comment down below and smash that bell icon on your way down. And one last point for the software, OnePlus is promising 3 years of OS support and 4 years of security patches. That sounds like a decently healthy window of support. Again, much better than we would usually find on a sub $500 tablet. Now, my normal spiel. I've been on track recently showing off phones with desktop modes, and that's my personal preference in terms of mobile compute power. The flip side to that argument is having a phone to do the phone things, and a tablet to do the tablet things, and a computer to do the computer things, and having multiple processing elements with kind of a healthy overlap in the performance and capabilities. But in terms of that computery stuff and whether or not this can maybe take a shot at a laptop, this OnePlus Pad is less expensive than a Galaxy Tab S8 Plus, but it lacks the ability to do things like add a second display. Now, OnePlus is not billing this as a Pad Pro or even a Pad Plus. I don't think at this price we should consider that an oversight or a deal breaker. It's built to do what it's built to do, and it does that very well at a very competitive price, but video output through the USB-C is just, it's one of those features I feel deserves more attention on the devices that still support it. There is no 5G model for this tablet, but OnePlus is working towards creating more of an ecosystem for their products. The OnePlus Buds, for example, they do a much better job of supporting multi-point connection, so you can swap them from a phone to a tablet. And there's a feature that I haven't been able to test yet. Built into the phone and the tablet, it's called Multi-Screen Connect, that will sync up a phone running ColorOS or Oxygen OS, and so your tablet can piggyback on your phone data, and you can send your phone apps and screen to the tablet. I'll have to wait for an update to show that feature off. Expanding on just the use of a screen, the accessories are very well implemented. The keyboard cover is beautifully built. It snaps in nice and snug. Magnets, they work great. You can even wrap the keyboard around behind the tablet, which is a nice touch. The keys have a nice clicky action, and the touchpad is very nice. We're finally getting some better gesture support in Android, like 3 finger swipes for going home, multitasking, and taking screenshots. Only 2 small complaints here. Oxygen gestures for things like the side dock are very specific. Using the touchpad to drag out a dock is comically precise. I hope this is gonna be polished up in a future patch. Give us a bit more of a buffer. If you don't nail the gesture exactly where it's supposed to go, it tucks itself right back away. And you can both under and overshoot the gesture where it should be. I think it's basically impossible to do on the touchpad from the first try. And secondly, a very common ergonomic gripe for these kinds of keyboards, the edge of the tablet is so close to the number row that even though I have little hobbit hands, my fat hobbit fingers can brush the screen if I'm not being careful. Now, this stylus is a great full-size stick with a replaceable nib. It's an active pen, and it does need to be charged, but that's built into the flat edge of the tablet. That flat section that I showed off for your fingertips, that's a magnetic charging strip for the stylus. This is way more elegant than anything Apple has ever done with the pencil and the iPad. And it doesn't require a dopey bumper case to charge like my Surface Duo 2. This is very nicely integrated. I love having fine point touch control, even though I'm not much of an artist. It really comes in handy in a number of apps and games that benefit from having tighter or more precise controls and interactions. From playing shoot 'em up games to navigating small cells in an Excel spreadsheet. Then you add this all up together and it's a total package computer. Performance here is fantastic, and I'll be sharing my graphs and charts on the Patreon in a separate post, patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. But the reality of portable compute power today is pretty crazy. This Dimensity punches harder in a large slate with a big battery and a larger surface area to keep thermals in check. It outperforms similarly equipped phones, especially looking at heavy lifting like editing 4K video or rendering podcast audio. This tablet is pacing current gen phones extremely well, and the user can push the tablet harder with OnePlus's performance mode, which is down in the battery settings. I think this is fun because it helps reinforce what I've been saying about phones for a while. This is laptop grade for most people out there. And if you can switch over to using Android apps, you're likely getting better performance than a similarly priced Chromebook. Your compute power is compute power. It's mattering less what form factor that compute power comes in. It only matters that we get good software to use that compute power. Which brings us to the battery. I've given up. I don't run in-depth battery tests anymore. It's maddening trying to create a consistent test that's fair and that's easy to run and that will deliver results that are meaningful to a consumer. Going with just my anecdotal experiences, this thing is a champ. Streaming 1 hour of a 4K Blu-ray rip over Plex at max brightness, the pad dropped 17% of its battery. You would probably not want to watch a movie on an airplane at max brightness. In casual use, this has been a multi-day performer. Since getting it a little bit more than a week ago, I've only had to plug it in a couple times, and I've never worried about doing the full top off and completely drain the battery. Now, in more aggressive scenarios like video editing, I would expect this to hang with most thin laptops for daily use. One of the claims made by OnePlus is excellent standby time, which I find to be accurate. I mean, like, the inexpensive tablet we let Lex use drains consistently while the screen is off, and it's really slow to charge. The OnePlus Pad is really fast to charge. It uses 67-watt Super VOOC charging, and that charger is included in the box. This is a little different than a phone. We're generally doing better than 1% per minute on a battery about twice the size of a premium phone. And this is definitely faster charging than the 45-watt on the Galaxy Tab S8 Plus. Kind of bringing this plane in for a landing. This This is solid all the way around. This is the first time in a while where I've picked up an Android tablet and really felt it was a competitive purchase. For years now, I've only been recommending Galaxy tabs, not because of Android, but because you could avoid using Android on a larger surface area and use DeX instead. Competition matters. We get better products when companies are looking to push the limits and improve their offerings. This right here, compared against a Galaxy Tab S8 Plus, is a really good fight, especially for how aggressive the price is. And maybe that's the last idea to play with here. I think often people share terrible advice when it comes to buying tech for family members, especially less tech-savvy family, like little kid tablets or tablets for the elderly. Well, they won't use all the bells and whistles and the graphics, so you should just save your money. But then those people are saddled with poor performance and laggy UI. The very people who will not understand when a swipe or a gesture lags are the people who should not have to deal with that. Well, it seems this year we're going to get a couple of options that radically improve on that idea and won't break the bank. I've played with so many tablets around $300-ish that were not fun to use, even for low-level stuff like video streaming. The OnePlus Pad is still a premium purchase for a companion computer, but it's not as painful a price tag as what this tier of performance would have cost even last year. Also cutting into Chromebook territory. Running Android apps, even up to an Intel Core i5, the OnePlus Pad is going to take more performance wins and use less power earning those wins while out in the field. All the less expensive Chromebooks than this likely running even lower power SoCs. It's so fun to have an option like this again. Tablets are still solutions in search of problems. Someone gets a tablet and then they have to figure out where it fits in their lifestyle. But with these updates to apps and software and getting this kind of horsepower into a slightly more mainstream price, the number of problems this can solve increases substantially. Now, OnePlus is going to face some brutal competition this year from Google. We have to expect Samsung has an answer for a tablet in this tier. And recently, that Lenovo P11 is a really solid buy right now. And with all that going on, OnePlus brought their A game. And this should absolutely be on your list to consider. As always, thanks so much for watching, for sharing these videos, subscribing to the channel. All the support lately has been absolutely fantastic. Those of you clicking on links, catching my home site, SomeGadgetGuy.com. And of course, all of those folks on the list of names scrolling by on your screen from my Patreon, patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. This list of names is basically the coolest collection of tech pals in the universe. So I hope you'll check them out. Now, you know where you can find me around the rest of the internet, at SomeGadgetGuy on the Mastodons. I'm reviving a Flickr account. I stream my podcast on the Twitch, but a little less so these days on the Twitters and the Facebooks and the Instagrams. And I will catch you all on the next video.